80 years ago, Manchester United stood on the edge of oblivion. The club faced bankruptcy and one man intervened. We spoke to the family of the late James Gibson, the man who saved Manchester United.
We're incredibly proud. He was a wonderful man, and not only he, but also his son Alan was a wonderful man also. He was so kind and really it was a great pleasure to be with him. I only knew James Gibson when I was very, very young, obviously. I remember him before he had the stroke, I remember him after he had the stroke. And I remember clearly going with my parents to lunch at Ullamore and being taken up to by my aunt to a bedroom because Old Trafford was bombed, and the FA Cup was taken out of the wardrobe and shown me, and she told me, this is not the original cup. The original cup was stolen in a butcher shop in the Midlands, and this is the replacement. And that was my first real sort of insight to the FA Cup. Then after that we went to see my uncle. But of course Old Trafford was bombed and the FA Cup was kept at Ullamore, the house.
80 years ago, James Gibson took on the Down Club and breathed new life into it. His determination, bravery and commitment to the club, and his dedication of his son Alan, who built the foundation for the club we see before us. Today we remember James Gibson. Today we remember the man who saved United. Thank you.
19th of December 2011 is 80 years to the day when James Gibson was approached to help to effectively save Manchester United from extinction. The club was in huge debt, and it was in a time when, in the 1930s, when the economy was struggling, and Walter Crickman went to James Gibson's house and persuaded him to put some money into the club to tide it over at least through the Christmas period, and that's what he agreed to do, and it was effectively a gift with no strings attached. Saved Manchester United from going into liquidation in effect, and kept the debtors at bay at least for that period, and enough money even to buy a turkey for each of the players for Christmas. So it was the start of a relationship with the club which became really instrumental in setting up the club to be the club that it is today. James Gibson became the chairman and served for a period of 20 years. And during that time, of course, the youth system was set up, the Manchester United Junior Athletic Club, which led on to the youth system, and obviously the appointment of Sir Matt Busby, and the rest is history.
I'm the Mayor of Trafford, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here. I was thrilled when Alan actually said to me, would you be able to be present when we're celebrating 80 years of James Gibson? He is a really important part of our heritage. The Trafford Borough Council, let alone Manchester United, and of course he lived in Trafford in Hell. So we celebrate the fact of James Gibson and his history, and without his support and input in 1931, I have to say it's doubtful that Manchester United would be here today. So yes, we really should be celebrating this year.
Coming back today and marking this 80 years, it seemed quite an emotional moment for you when you stood and you read the speech out of the statue.
Yeah, well, of course it is, because it's a very important day, and also it's for us as a family, it's very important that it's marked properly, because, as I said earlier, a lot of the history that has been written about the club has not been researched correctly, and the facts are blurred, and for us it's important that the facts are corrected at this stage while it's all still very fresh in people's mind.
When you stood there and you saw the images in the tunnel and the plaque on Sir Matt Busby Way, how did that make you feel?
It makes me feel very proud that we have the family have got such a connection with this incredible club. And the connection in the club is that because he laid the correct foundation stones, not once but twice, the 30s and again after the war. He laid the foundations, good solid foundations, for this club to be built on, expanded on.
And it must have been devastating when the stadium got bombed in the war.
Oh yes, he was, and I know my cousin told me that several times, and so did Iran, that when he was told that the Old Trafford had been bombed, he actually sat down and cried because he put so much into it and risked so much. But it wasn't the financial side; it was the fact that a dream had been shattered by the bombs. But he was a man of courage, and he actually rebuilt from after the war. He fought with the government of the day to get the licenses to rebuild. He did everything, and he had to wait because after the war, priority went to housing, factories, and so on. Sports facilities were way down the pecking order, and so therefore, when he continued to lobby Parliament and was finally granted money to rebuild Old Trafford. Unfortunately, it wasn't ready for when they won the FA Cup, but it was soon afterwards. And it was immense pride when